What you're about to watch is a segment on the STD podcast with Trevor Fulbright, Shimmy Hacker, and I. In this podcast, we discuss compound lifts at higher RIRs and isolation lifts at lower RIRs, the application of when to use higher relative effort in your training. We also discuss volume auto-regulation, how to stay focused when you have a long set with a lot of reps, and we talk about how much we love Costco, specifically Shimmy and I, really trying to convince Trevor to get his ass in gear and get a membership. But we also provide a lot of practical tips and discuss the things that we like to buy frequently from Costco that help us stay on track on our diets. I hope you find this discussion helpful. If you enjoy the podcast, consider leaving a rating on your listening platform of choice. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more podcasts. Thank you for watching. What's up, friends, family, fans, OnlyFans subscribers? We are back with the STD podcast. It's been a minute, but we are all alive and healthy and ready to discuss some topics and answer some questions. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Shimmy is back in the land of the free.
Yes.
I'm back. I'm back in normal digs.
You know what you should do is take you know how you can do the Zoom backgrounds? Make it like the UK like a subway. What do they call it down there?
I need to learn how to do all of that stuff. I don't know how.
Oh, dude, that takes like I think there's like a background function on Zoom. There are a bunch of tabs I don't know how to use on here, so I'm with you there.
I literally have never played with any of Zoom settings.
Yeah. I'm on it. By the way, I'm on Zoom portal like as we speak, trying to look for something like that.
Yeah, you could do the background function.
We're doing a podcast, and it's just gonna like every few minutes there's gonna be a new background popping up.
100%.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, to keep your retention, we're going to talk today about a number of things. Shimmy wanted to talk a little bit about, was it the need to go to failure in higher rep ranges versus lower rep ranges? Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that. You sent it in our chat.
No, so it actually wasn't that at all, host, respectfully. No, it was the necessity of using lighter movements, usually the ones that are single joint in nature, as compared to actually just using a compound movement, a typically higher fatiguing movement, but just training that movement farther from failure as compared to the typical single joint movement. And what the efficacy would that be? That would be. So to put pen to paper, let's say we are training legs. Let's say that we had already squatted, high bar, paused, fine, 6 to 10 rep range. You did that already. Now you have to move on to your second movement. Would you then, if you're already very fatigued, go to leg extensions and do your typical 0 to 4 RIR progression in a mesocycle? Fine. Or might you go on to hack squats? Or I don't want to use leg press because squat leg press is like very synonymous. So let's say leg press is stale. That's not in the cards. Let's just not use that. Let's say, would you go to hack squats? Or would you then go to sumo squats? Or something that is typically very fatiguing, but not train that 0 to 4 RIR. Maybe train it at 2 to 5 RIR. It's still hard training. It's not death, but it's still very hard. Might that be, dare I say, more effective than using the single joint movement in the higher rep range? I don't have this answer. That's only one example. You can use this for, very many things. But this is something that I am thinking about now, and I don't have the answer. I don't know.
So to clarify, the single joint, so the compound further from failure and the single joint closer to failure, is that what you're saying?
Correct. So running the single joint movement, or the easier movement, the leg extension, the machine fly, the hamstring curl, cue whatever you want, listeners. You know what I'm talking about. Cue one of those in the typical, you start at 4 reps from fail, you go to failure or past failure in the span of an accumulation, versus doing a, let's say, sumo squat with a barbell as a second movement in the 6 to 10, 8 to 12, 10 to 15 rep range. But instead of going 0 to 4 RIR because it's so fatiguing with a very high RSM in addition to SFR and STR because it takes too long. You might go 4 to 5 reps in reserve and only go to 2 or 3. So it's still hard. It's still good training, but you're not going to like the Death Star by any
So your
means.
average RIR over a mesocycle is actually not as it's higher.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. I don't have the answer. And
I have
maybe
some
you
thoughts
guys
on this.
have.
I think this is a good question. I have some thoughts on this.
One thing before we get into it, I want to say so. Practically speaking, do you both vary RARs within a microcycle? Like for example, like sometimes people will use a static RAR. Will you sometimes use higher RARs on these isolation lifts or
Yes.
start? Okay.
Absolutely. I've never run a static RAR in my life.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a week where it's like, all right, this week everything is 3 RAR. It might be 5 RAR to 2 RAR in that given week, depending on the exercise.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So continue on with the. I just wanted to make sure that's put out
so
there.
I think that this is a good question, a good kind of thing to ponder and think about. I think that when you look at the raw stimulus magnitude of we'll use the easy ones, hack squat compared to leg extension. When you look at the raw stimulus magnitude of that, of what you're going to get out of it, I think that we'll just say a 3 RAR hack squat is likely going to be still more stimulative than a 0 to 1 RAR leg extension.
Yes.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is, and particularly like that might not be the greatest ones to use because a leg extension, you don't really get stretch under load. But with a hack squat you do. So there's one reason, but you just have such a higher amount of tension that you can use with the muscle. It requires a lot more force from the muscle to do. And so I don't think that it requires the same RAR to deliver an effective stimulus. Said another way, I do not think that a 3 RAR set of hack squats and a 0 RAR set of leg extensions are equivalent to each other for quads. Would you agree?
I don't know.
You don't know. Fair.
Oh, no.
I just don't feel, in my personal experience, if I sit and do a leg extension, I do, whatever, say, just out of left field, say I'm going to do a whole workout. I'm going to do 5 sets of hack squats in one workout. I'm going to do 5 sets of leg extensions in the other workout. The amount of stimulus I'm going to get from that 5 sets of hack squats at 3 RAR will be greater than the amount of stimulus my quads get at 5 sets of 0 RAR leg extensions. In my personal experience.
Right.
I don't think that they can compare, and I don't think you can say they're equal. And this is actually why I don't like people like mathematically fixating on volume.
For
I
sure.
have 20 sets.
For
20
sure.
sets of what?
Right.
A pec fly or a cable fly or something, it's just not going to be the same using something not legs, because maybe it's I think it's a little bit more even in some instances. But I don't think using like a pec fly or something like that is going to be the same stimulus as a cambered bar bench for the pecs.
Right.
So, Dylan, do you have some points, or should I jump in here?
No, I'm just kind of listening to you guys on this topic.
Okay, cool. So I have 2 points that I think that are practical here. I think number 1, the psychological component cannot be understated, to where if I've already done something compound in nature close to failure as a first movement, I'm already quite fatigued. To then go to a second compound movement that's already hard, even if I'm training farther away from failure, it takes more than to go do something single joint. Even though I'm not going to failure, and like that does sit better with me, I have to do a lot less psychologically to go to failure on leg extensions than I do to go 3 reps in reserve on a hack squat. That may be just me, but I think it's not. I
No,
think
I
that's
would
the
say
case
that's
for a
fair.
lot of people. Yes. So, if something destroys you mentally on the first movement, I don't want to say destroys you, but if it really taxes you, then one of the hindrances of doing this compound move as a second move is psychological.
Mhm.
And the second point that I had, I'm blanking right now and I don't remember, and it's gonna come to me probably in the next 30 seconds. So hopefully you can fill this dead space while I think about it. It's gonna come to me like randomly.
I agree with you that
I just literally blanked while I was talking.
of course you did, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I think that is a good point, that the fatigue, the systemic fatigue of doing that compound exercise can be so great that the what you have to bring up for another one, you might not have it in you.
Yes.
And
Okay. I now I remember. Also, keep going. Now I remember.
if that's the case, I think that before you even go and just do a single joint exercise, I think you need to put some real thought into, do you need to?
What do you mean by that?
If you are so systemically fatigued that you can't put out a good effort on a compound lift, how sure are you that you are not systemically fatigued, that what you think is zero RER is not actually zero RER on an isolation lift?
Yeah, it might not be. I mean, obviously the answer is you have to go and you have to try it. I can tell you from personal experience, like I know if I'm doing like hack squats, for example, I'm pretty fried mentally after I'm done, but I know that I can go and do a good job to an easier quad movement. But I know that
Yeah.
if I leg pressed after, just from previous experience and notes and performance, the leg press is like not, I can do it, but it's just not great. I'd be
Yeah.
better
No.
off just doing leg extensions. So the second thing that I wanted to add was I actually think from a programming standpoint, this then opens something up that you or I or Dylan or most of us never really think of. And it's, if you want to program for a person, for a client, for a friend, you can program typical like hard movement like squats, then do leg extensions in the typical RIR progression. Or you could consider programming a compound and note like stay farther away from failure. Like it's not junk volume to
Yeah.
do 3 to 5 reps in reserve as a second movement on hack squats. It's not. Just because you're not going to failure and like dying, that doesn't mean that it's junk volume, right? It's junk volume if you get no pump, no disruption, and you're just kind of moving around, or you're doing 20 sets, just doing it to do it. But that's not this. So this opens something that, I mean, I've never programmed this way for somebody, and you probably haven't either. But I think it is another tool that can be used. Like Dylan, the whole reason that this came about was, or this thought process for me was, I was training legs the other day and I'm just working back into hard training again after like a very long maintenance phase. And just because traveling and I had maintenance,
Yeah.
whatever, nobody cares. And so Smith machine squats are stale for me, so I can't do them. Leg presses are stale for me, so I can't do them. I'm already doing safety bar squats and Smith machine lunges on another session. So on this session, I had hack squats, and leg extensions are stale. I'm also not doing them. So then I ran into the issue of what am I doing for a secondary movement? Because I don't want to do down sets on the hack squat, because then I'm just this is going to get stale too fast. And I want to keep hack squats in for months. And if I
Right.
start to do down sets, even in a higher rep range, like I'm going to get bored of them too quick. So I had belt squats planned, and belt squats have never worked for me. I've mentioned that on this channel before. I tried them again. They still don't work. So then I was like, okay, what movement am I going to put here? So I was like, how about I try sumo squats? Why not? And I did them, but I purposefully did them with the intention of being farther from failure. And I was like, oh, this is actually like pretty damn good. Like I feel things, I feel it a lot, and I don't plan on going to failure. And my technique is never going to break ever. But I also don't plan on pushing these super, super hard, just hard enough. And that spurred this whole thing in my mind where I said, oh, this is an idea. This is something to think about here.
Well, and this is another thing is that if you use a compound exercise like that, it's the same idea of pre-exhausting, where if your target muscle, if you're doing the sumo squats, but you're doing them as a secondary for quads, your quads might be near failure.
Yes, yes,
Makes
yes.
sense.
Even if the movement as a whole doesn't necessarily feel like what you would typically expect it to feel like near failure, your quads might
Yes.
be near failure. I do
Yes.
that with lunges.
Yes.
It's like I've legitimately hit failure and not been able to stand up like in a proper quad lunge with 30-pound dumbbells.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've done like lunges fresh with like 225 pounds. So, it's, two 20-pound dumbbells or something, whatever. I'm never going to fail on that. But if I'm doing them right after hack squats or what have you, yeah, it works. It's very, very effective.
Yes.
Coming from a person like I've programmed like this before. Like for example, my leg maintenance for the longest time was just leg press and Smith squats. Now, I kept a relatively static RAR and pushed them near, if not to failure. But what you're saying is that the systemic fatigue incurred from the first exercise would impair your ability to be able to push to failure? Or could you clarify that for me? I know you probably mentioned it earlier.
Number one, it might impair it. But number two, I'm saying to just obviate the question altogether. So you might be impaired, or you might just not want to do it anyway. Like you may psychologically not even want to do it. And what I'm saying is, even if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, because it could
Right.
still be. That's what I'm getting at.
It can still be, what was it you said?
It'll be good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess in my mind, it's also like I have such few sets to do here because they're so stimulative that I don't mind being able to push, because I'm like, okay, like for example, this is a muscle group that's very receptive to training, so I'll do like two sets in the first. I might even only do 3 sets in that single session in the first week, right?
Can we talk about the efficacy of actually, in more general terms, not training to failure on very disruptive compound movements in certain instances, and that being a good idea? What
Yeah,
comes to mind? What comes to mind? What?
I have one right off the bat.
I mean, I have several right off the bat, but the two that come to mind for me are good mornings and deficit deadlifts.
Yeah. 100%.
So with deficit deadlifts, and this is I posted about this today, not exactly this, but I did mention this. With deficit deadlifts, what is the rub, right? The rub is like big juice, big squeeze. There's so much fatigue that comes with it. Everyone knows that it's great, but it's so disruptive and it's so hard that like when you're not a beginner or early stage intermediate, they don't make sense. But if you're not training close to failure, if you're stopping at 2 reps in reserve, let's just say, or even 3 reps in reserve, yeah, I know we're being surgical here. You don't really know what's 2, you don't know what's 1, but like essentially you're stopping, let's say, when your bar speed starts to slow down. Sure, you have reps in the tank, but it's still super good, like super good. You know what I mean? And doing them that way, obviously it's super safe. You do save yourself from some fatigue. Are you leaving a little bit of gains on the table with the movement? Yes, but like marginally. So who cares? And you don't really get that big rush of fatigue and death, right? So to me, that's like a super cool way to do it. So instead of taking them 0 to 4 RAR like you used to do when you're beginner intermediate, you don't. You go 5 to 3 or something like that. And I feel like that's a great thing. And also with good mornings, what I found is that I can go to 0 RAR, but I actually lose sensation and tension in my hamstrings. Anything below like 2 RAR.
I don't know what's going on. Like I'll
yeah.
You're just trying to survive at that point.
Right.
But like you can do it, right? Like you guys can do it. So can
Yeah.
I. And if someone watches it and you watch back your video, you're like, yeah, it looks
good.
It looks fine. But you both know that like if you would have stopped 2 or 3 reps before, you'd be like, all right, I don't have nearly as much fatigue. And this is where my hamstrings stopped feeling it.
yeah, you probably have at least equal stimulus.
It's literally easier and you get more out of it. Like it's literally a win.
Well,
I actually program hip hinges that way.
Yeah.
Myself and for some clients it's not the same all the way.
Yeah.
But I program that where I don't push them to failure. I don't, if I'm doing a hip hinge for hamstrings, I don't push it to failure because at a point, yeah, I just stop feeling my hamstrings.
Lower back and glutes.
The
Yeah.
fatigue that I get from it is just astronomically high.
for me, it's also my concern is that if I go 2-1-0 sometimes that I will lose the ability to maintain good technique.
Yes.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
I'm trying so hard. The effort, especially like on a heavy deficit SLDL, a heavy good morning, the effort it takes to maintain good technique almost supersedes the effort in the actual target muscle at that point. Like I'm trying so hard just to keep my chest up and maintain good technique there. So yeah, I think that's a great call.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think so many people miss is like, if you do this, it makes it so much easier. Because it's like, all right, when I'm done, I'm done. Like, I don't have to sit down like after the set is over and be like dying and super, super out of breath. It's like, dude, when your bar speed slows down, rack it. Like it's cool. You don't really nearly accrue as much fatigue. You save that for other things.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, Dylan. My points might be a little longer.
One thing I wanted to say for people listening who, I don't think we have too many like go to failure every set bros listening to this, but the point I was going to make is that you're still, man, I blinked too, Shimmy. Shit.
Yeah.
Like
so annoying.
Y'all need some coffee.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to not drink coffee today. That's why. So obviously reps away from failure are super stimulative in that low rep range. Is something you highlighted earlier. The point I was going to make, I don't know, Trevor, you go on. Maybe I'll remember it.
That's so good.
So like Jared is really big on this. Is that like you can say you're pushing to failure, but the target muscle fails and you still do 5 reps. And a lot of people do that. If you are really, really, really strict with your technique, most people for a lot of exercises, I find hit failure much sooner than they realize. And I don't want to say it's easier because it's still really, really hard.
Definitely not easier.
It's really hard to maintain technique, but you definitely don't feel as soul crushed. If you're trying to maintain your technique, keeping with the hip hinge thing, to where your failure point is when you can no longer cue everything to maximally use your hamstrings. Even if you can grind out and slightly tweak your technique here and there subconsciously, you don't realize you're doing it, and you get 3 more reps, but how much work are your hamstrings doing at that point?
Right.
That's just a ton of extra fatigue that's not necessarily benefiting what your goal is from the exercise.
Right. And some of the people who are kind of skeptical of that may have never actually taken a set to actual failure, right?
Yeah.
In the target muscle. Because of how difficult that is.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is when I was training with them in Vegas, we were doing chest the first morning, and I did a set, and it was very slight, but like I was talking to Jared after, and he was like, "Oh, is this your last week?" And I was like, "No, I thought I had more." And he's like, "Well, like if you look at this slight movement in your chest, like my chest kind of caved on that last rep." He's like, that was failure the rep before. If you can't maintain that high sternum, chest towards the bar or the dumbbells, then that would be it, right? And I have this clip. It's actually going to be in one of my YouTube videos in the future. But it was like really like not eye-opening, but it was something that was like, okay, like remember that is imperative. That's really important to maintain that.
For good mornings, Dylan? I didn't catch that.
No, this was just with dumbbell presses. Like I I would my chest would come down slightly, like it would go in slightly on that last rep. It went in slightly instead of keeping it up here. And he was like, and he was telling me after, he was like asking me like, was that, you know, are you pushing it your last week or whatever?
Interesting. I thought you were gonna say something like that on a good morning or a stiff legged deadlift, where that's like I don't know. I don't usually find that for me with my chest pressing, and I don't think Trevor
I've seen
does.
it happen. I've seen it happen where people kind of like they bring it down and they kind of do this a little bit and then press.
I don't
And their
know. I
chest
mean,
is higher and they're trying to find
so, so we definitely just like jumped into the weeds super fast. Because for me, that wouldn't bother me. Like, because if someone has one like their last final rep where they're so close to failure and they're doing that, like to me, you're getting a lot of stimulation there, even if it's
It,
not like completely ideal.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
In the last week, I think it makes more sense too. It
Yeah.
wasn't my last week. That was the thing. Was like,
that it's not your last week, and it's like, oh, if you're going to continue 3 more weeks, you're just doing this where you're doing more, you're progressing your reps or something, but each week they're
it
getting
gets progressively
worse and worse
less
and
stimulative.
worse.
Well, and I hear you, Shimmy. I think we had that discussion with the cable rows, right? And you're, you know, have a little bit of leeway for some of that. And I agree. Like if it's still stimulative, right? You're not completely compromising form.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but we also remember that that was the context of back training. I don't know about Trevor. I don't hold that for everything. Like I'll let there be a smidge rep for like back training. I
Mhm.
won't let there be a smidge rep for every body part. There
No,
are certain body parts where I'm like, I know that I'm gonna be done and like we're leaving it here, right?
Right.
Like I'm not gonna force a rep on a stiff leg deadlift, for
Right,
example.
right.
I'm not.
Especially those higher risk exercises too, where the if you
Also,
did
some
a
of them
rep,
are like pretty obvious, right? Like you know when you're gonna force a rep on a push down, you know when you're gonna force a rep on a preacher curl. Like you know that, right?
right, right.
The rowing and the vertical pulling is like you think you're good and then you're not sure, so then you help a little bit of the rep. Like it's different.
Well, not to get too off.
how do you force a rep on a preacher curl?
Huh?
How do you force a rep on a preacher curl?
No, that's oh, you're saying even if you wanted to?
Yeah, I'm literally trying to picture it and I can't imagine it. What do you do? Like
So
stand up from the machine?
So if you were forcing your rep on a preacher curl, let's say that your arm is completely locked at the bottom and you're trying to come up, you might round your shoulders forward to then kind of shrug it up like that, just to get it through some of the range.
Okay,
You
that
know,
makes
like
sense.
that might happen, like that, you
Yeah,
know.
I was
Same
just literally
thing,
trying to think in my head, and I'm like, I don't. How do you do that? You just like
the same thing with an incline dumbbell curl. If you go and you stretch all the way in the back, you know that like you're not gonna get it. But if you move your shoulder forward, you can do it, you
yeah,
know?
I just stand up and do a pump set.
That's right.
man.
No, I've actually done that with vertical pulling this last mesocycle when I was doing giant sets. I I was like, I would stop the set on the rep where I would do a rep to my chest and then I'd come up and then I knew that next rep I wasn't going to touch and that would be my end rep. And it was
Yeah,
just like I was like, that's still a stimulative rep, right? I'm still getting a full stretch. And I'm
yeah.
standardizing it. Like I know this is where I'm going to stop the set.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, sometimes I can't tell if you're frozen or not because you're being abnormally still.
So I'm trying to obviously work on this a lot because if you listen to earlier pods, like I'm always talking over you guys. He's nodding like, yeah, you are. So I'm very mindful of this. Like I don't want to talk over you guys. And I have a tendency because it's just like I talk a lot. You guys are more stoic than I am. I'm more animated. So yeah, I'm working on this.
I'm proud of you, Jimmy.
Yes.
I'm with you there. Sometimes I get really excited about things and then I like talk over people. That's something I like try to work on myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're just really geeked out about a subject and you just want to keep.
I don't do it in person, but on podcasts, I guess I do because it's just different.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
move on to the next subject? Is there anything else you wanted to mention on the topic of?
I mean, I can just
Yes.
add in one thing that's not this, and you
Mhm.
this will be a very easy timestamp for you, and this is exactly in line with what I posted about today. Guys, like I know that we give it a lot of flack, but like, dude, fucking deficit deadlifts are so good. They're so
Yeah.
God damn it, man. There's I don't ca- I'm talking to all my advanced people out here, my people who have been training for a long time, where all the people have told you, like, yeah, deadlifts are so stimulating. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about them. Even if you're training them farther away from failure, you get them on a nice deficit with really good technique. Guys, there's like nothing like it to really train the lower back, even the upper back, even the glutes. Like, yeah, you could deficit barbell row and like glute kickback and glute drive to like make up for it, but it's not the same. It's just
It's
not.
not,
I don't know why, but it's just not. They're
not
so
the same. I actually agree. I think I'm gonna try to add them in this this year.
yeah.
Try to add them in, but I keep the volume very low.
Yeah, 1 to 3 sets for sure.
Are you talking? Wait, are you talking conventional?
Doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters.
Oh, I
Doesn't
thought I've seen you, Trevor, do deficit SLDL.
I have
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that.
like straight up deadlift.
That's what I meant.
Deficit either
Yeah, that's what I
sumo
meant.
or
Right,
conventional. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Dylan, you pick whatever, range of motion you can handle on deficit, 2 inches, 2 to 5 inches, probably. Really controlled eccentric, keeping the bar very quiet at the bottom, no clinking, no bouncing, no
Yeah.
rocking at the top. Like I don't know, 6 to 10, 8 to 12 rep range. Even if you do them, honestly, man, even if it was like 1 set or even 2 sets once a week, like there's just
And honestly, I think you can still do them at the end of a workout and get a crap ton out of them.
I think you would need to do that either farther from failure or in a higher rep range.
Doing them at the end of a workout.
Correct. Because if you're gonna like, I don't know about you, like I'm not stepping under, 350 or whatever for like at the end for 10. Like I need to know if I'm tired. All right, I got to do a set of 15 with 250. Like I can will myself to do that. But if I come to
I
it,
would much rather do a set of 8 than a set of 15 on a deadlift.
that's because I'm fucking retarded. That's why.
Yeah, clearly.
Cue the Alex Jones Joe Rogan podcast clip.
I don't get that reference. Like I don't know
you'll
what
have
this
to, you'll see it after this, trust me.
Yeah.
So but that would be for glute hypertrophy, right?
glutes, lower back, upper back.
So yes, but also everything else.
Right. Spinal erectors.
Like I would do them. I would
Your
say,
soul.
right. Grow your ball sack.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add something in here this is the most broiest thing that I've ever said
Sure.
on this podcast. So just like listeners enjoy the soundbite.
Put this out.
Dude, there's things in there that I don't even know. Like I'm hungrier after I deadlift for like the rest of the day. My abs are more pumped. Like just correct, just like what Trevor said, just like you're just fuller. You just look more jacked. I don't know what it is.
It's all the growth hormone spiking.
Maybe.
Growth hormone testosterone spiking.
Title of
Yeah.
the podcast: Shimmy is not evidence based. He's a bro.
Yeah. I look, man, I can geek out. I can
No.
geek out. It's not always fucking ones and zeros and matrix up in here. Sometimes you could just be like, all right, this shit is good. I don't know why.
Right. All you that go do bicep curls for you go to the club out there, you're doing the wrong exercise. It's deadlifts.
Yeah.
Deficit deadlifts.
Deficit deadlifts. So we had another this question that was submitted to one of the chats. Is pushing to MRV overrated?
I was like, Shimmy and I both have thoughts on this.
I
Love
think
to hear
that
'em.
Trevor and I are going to agree. I think yes. I think yes, and I think this is along the lines of what we were just kind of talking about. I definitely, but I also think that people aren't as serious about finding their MRV as they used to be. I think that used to be really so much a thing. Like, what's your MRV? What's your MRV? How many sets did you do this week? Well, I did 25. Really? I did 23. Like, there was a little bit of that. It's not so much the case anymore. Yeah, it's not so much the case anymore.
Like a level
Like,
up. Like, oh, my MRV's higher than yours, bro.
Yeah.
but actually,
Yeah.
but I'm not joking. That's
It was legit a thing, and now like now I'm over here telling people I'm like, Trust me, like having a higher MRV is not good. It
Sure,
means you have to do more work just to get the
Yeah.
same.
sure.
Right.
So I do think that pushing to MRV is overrated. I do think that pushing your volumes exotically high is overrated. I think there becomes a practical point as well, where once you get your volumes to be high enough, number one, you obviously have to go back to formula and make sure your technique and effort are fantastic. But even
Absolutely.
if you have done that and your technique is amazing and your technique under effort is really, really good, once you get your volumes to be really high, and I'll just quantify that as, let's say, 20 sets or more for a body part, especially when you have multiple body parts like that, programming becomes questionable. You spend way too much time in the gym. Then you end up doing double sessions. And I mean, dude, you work at Costco doing double sessions. What are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
you have no reason to be doing that. And I'm not so sure that, let's say that your MRV, let's say your MRV for something is 22 sets, like balls to the wall. I'm not so sure if you stopped at 18 that those last 4 sets would really make such a meaningful difference. They would make a difference. A meaningful one, I am not so sure. Especially if we're going to say that you started at MEV, right? So the definition, we start at MEV and then go to MRV, and then everything in between is called MAV, maximum adaptable volume, which is still technically great training. For those listening to you, I'm putting up air quotes. So by definition, dude, I'm great training regardless. So, if you want to run a specialization phase and actually take body parts to MEV and give them all she's got, Captain, like in Star Trek, you can. But I think if you don't, I really don't think that it matters, because if you don't take all of your body parts to MRV, mind you, you are then still able to fully train all of your body parts. Where sometimes when you take something to MRV, you take multiple groups to MRV, you start to miss things, especially in the later weeks. You say, oh, I'm taking chest to MRV, and you're too tired, so you don't train the calves. Or you say, I'm taking chest and back to MRV, and you start missing arm, like the last sets of your arm days, or your abs, or your calves, or traps, or whatever, because you're like, I'm tired, and like those muscle groups don't matter. Well, from being technical, they kind of do matter if training your whole body is important to you. So I would actually take the trade-off of reducing my volume from not MRV to just close. So therefore I could train everything else. That's my take.
Um, so my take is, yeah, it is probably overrated. Particularly for anybody that's not advanced. If you're not advanced, I don't think that there's any need or reason to constantly chase your MRV. I also don't think that constantly chasing your MRV ever works out. And why that is because what people do is people see a number. They see, whatever back MRV is 20 to 25 sets. And so, of course, because more is better, they always assume, well, my back MRV is 25. And they'll just add sets. And generally, their technique isn't great, their effort isn't great, or they're picking maybe less stimulative exercises. And this goes back to the first thing I was talking about with leg extension hack squats. If in order to get that volume, in order to get that set number at a certain level, if you are picking maybe poorly stimulative exercises or low RSM exercises, yeah, you can probably do it. I could probably do 30 sets of leg extensions. I could definitely do 20 sets of leg extensions.
Right.
I could probably work with them just fine. I rarely go over 10 sets of quads a week because I can't, because I'm doing hack squats. I'm doing Smith machine squats. I'm doing barbell squats. I'm doing leg presses. I'm doing much more highly stimulative exercises. So I think that this idea of I think that if you are advanced, knowing your MRV is helpful. But I think the idea of trying to constantly chase and reach your MRV is overrated. I don't think that I think that most people don't need to worry about so much how many sets they're doing. I think it's good to know basically where your starting point is, and then past that, you focus first on your technique and your effort. Assuming those are good, you simply add volume via autoregulation. Do you recover on time? Can you benefit from a little bit more stimulus? If so, maybe you add a set. If people do that, I don't think many people are going to get over 15 to 20 sets on anything ever.
It's almost like saying, instead of saying is finding your MRV overrated, it's almost like, nah, man, finding your MEV is underrated.
Yes.
Funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. I don't know. And so I remember when the MRV stuff first came out, like when RP first coined the term MRV, the big chase was like everyone always training at their MRV. And that's where the volume landmarks expanded from, is because people are like, oh, MRV is 20 sets a week. Well, I'm going to train everything at 20 sets a week. And yeah, either you end up doing a bunch of volume or you break yourself. I think that instead, just knowing like where your starting point is and then just allowing auto regulation to take hold from there is a lot more beneficial than saying like, my MRV is 25 sets, so I'm going to start at 10 and I'm going to add 2 sets every week until I get to 25 because that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't think that makes any sense. I think that idea is overrated. I think that people doing that just honestly don't know what they're doing.
I will say, so when I first got into this as a safety, I was being coached by Jared, and I've mentioned this before, but I would have those. I documented the sets on average that we used, and I used those as goalposts. And this last mass gaining phase, I've tried to purely auto-regulate, not have set goals, come in MEV, and add sets like you mentioned. Can I recover from more? Am I getting enough stimulus here? And I feel way more productive than when I was trying to hit an arbitrary target.
Mm-hmm.
It's arbitrary. I mean, it changes. It changes due to exercise
There's
selection.
so many things that are going to affect
Exactly
what your MRV is. Your MEV is generally not going to be too different unless you're just picking really poor exercises. But your MRV can change from so many things. Your
right.
nutritional status, your enhancement status,
Absolutely.
your training age, your exercise selection, your technique. Like if you speed up
Where you're at in your diet,
yeah, there's so
how long you've been running the exercise for.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced that where we run an exercise for 3 or 4 months and we're like, I feel like I have to do like twice the amount of work to get something out of this now. Oh,
Yeah.
it's stale and it's time to swap it.
That would be a very complex algorithm to be able to actually determine where you're like. Maybe we'll have the technology one day, but like the actual like being able to be like, this is where my MRI is going to be due to all these factors. It's just so there's too many moving parts.
There's no way I calculate it.
Yeah,
I'm sure that the mathematical equation is out there. I ain't that smart.
Yeah. And it's also just practically like applied. That's just too much work. I'd rather just go in and train.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great points.
Yes.
Grateful to have you guys as friends because you think about these things and to know them very well.
We all make each other better.
For you, sir. I am grateful for you.
Let's see. I have a few questions that were submitted.
We'll probably go for a couple more questions, right?
Yeah. Also, Shimmy mentioned Costco. If you work at Costco, it's a great company. So there's that.
Costco is actually a pretty good employer.
I would work. So number one, Costco, I own stock in your business. Okay. I own your stock.
Oh, we got an owner over here.
Yeah, I'm an owner. Okay. I'm a minority owner. Okay. I'm a shareholder. So.
They roll out the red carpet when you walk in.
Yeah.
100% I do. 100% I do. And I always joke with my friends that if I had to get a job working for like just a big corporate company and just work my way up, it would just be either Costco, Chipotle, or Target. It would just be one of those three because they're usually a fantastic place to work and you can grow very quickly. And they're obviously not going anywhere. They're completely recession proof, virus proof. They're amazing.
Hey,
Right.
have you seen Idiocracy?
Huh?
Costco's going to be the. Have you seen Idiocracy?
No.
Oh, Costco's going to be like the giant. It's going to be where we get everything. Continue on. Sorry to
It
interrupt
is
you.
already. What do you mean? Costco is one of the greatest places on earth.
It was like, yeah. You have to see
Not
the movie.
Disney, Costco.
Yes. Dude, I
And this is
love
from someone who lives in Florida, so clearly he knows.
I love Costco. Okay. I go to Costco for no reason. I'll just go to Costco to get steps.
Okay, so
No, me too.
I'm gonna get yelled at. I don't have a Costco membership.
Yeah, of course you don't. You're a
Oh
fucking
my
weird.
God.
I go to Sam's Club.
Oh no, Sam's Club is awful. I fucking hate Sam's Club.
Uh,
So I'm actually buying one this weekend though.
Are you Costco?
yes.
I was gonna say maybe you're a BJ's guy.
We don't have BJ's in Oklahoma.
Have you ever been to Costco or no?
Yes, yes. We only got a Costco here a couple of years ago,
Hmm.
Fair enough.
and I
Join
just haven't.
us.
But I am getting one this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, when you go to Costco, Trevor, you're
No,
never
I
gonna
love
go.
it. I love it. I've been there a few
It's gonna change
times.
your life. I'm not
I've
joking.
been
It's
there
gonna
a few
change your life.
times.
It's like the grocery store that I'm like excited to go to every week.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Are you massing, Trevor, or no?
Uh, kind of maintaining. I was dieting, but I have so much shit going on in my life right now. I
Okay.
took the diet stress away.
Okay, cool. So here we go. You're gonna go to Costco and you're going to buy the following things. You're going to buy the raspberry crumble cookies in their bakery. Don't you roll your eyes at me, girlfriend.
No, that was not a roll my eyes. That sounds good.
It's literally sorcery. That's the first thing. Then if they have it, you're going to get the braided apple twists from their bakery. You're going to get the rugelach. You are not going to get the muffins because they're overrated. Shim said so. I don't care. Anyone can come
I
at
love
me.
the muffins with coffee.
Well, that's because you're stupid. What do you want me to tell you? You're
Bro,
wrong.
700 calories in one muffin? Come on.
You're going down the floor, going down like a sweet muffin. Okay. So you're getting those two things. You are going to get the Costco brand smoked salmon. Do you eat that or no?
Mhm.
Okay. So the Kirkland brand smoked salmon. And you're going to get the croissants.
Okay.
You're just
That's
making
it.
like a weight gain protocol
Right.
right here.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. You guys want to know
Dude.
Shim's guide to massing? That and protein
So
shakes. Good.
I posted
Shimmy's
this on
goal
my
is to have me be 250 by the Arnold.
yeah.
Right.
Gotta look nice and thick for the open bodybuilders.
Yes.
So Costco, actually, I posted this on my story earlier. I've been kind of working and I've been getting more busy. So I used to like prepare my foods, like my meals, like fresh, and it was just taking me so much time. And I was just like, okay, what can I buy that's pre-prepared? And the Costco options are awesome.
They're
Like
great.
I've never bought they take the rotisserie chicken, they take the meat, the breast meat, and they
Oh
package
my
it.
God, you have no idea what you just unlocked. I really
What?
hope you don't think we have good questions coming up because this podcast has officially gone down somewhere else.
Why?
Okay.
Why? What are you gonna say about the breast meat? You got a problem with it?
No. The complete opposite of a problem. What you just said, I will get on this hill. Rotisserie chicken is the most underrated food of life.
Oh, dude,
Nobody talks about it. It is
1000%.
cheap.
No.
It tastes amazing. It's so easy to cook. It's healthy.
You don't
Like
gotta cook it.
bodybuilders don't talk about rotisserie chicken. Health people, y'all can go away with your boneless, skinless chicken breast. Rotisserie chicken is life. It's fucking life.
$6 for a huge rotisserie chicken at Costco.
Yeah, no, it's
Life.
amazing.
Yes.
People,
Yes.
you don't have time to prepare food. Buy 2 to 3 rotisserie chickens.
And before any of you annoying people come in and be like, oh, but it's like so fatty. Guess what? Chop it up, remove the skin.
Yeah,
And
Well,
then
that's what I'm saying. You can buy
but
they
you're done.
package the breast meat. They have packages of just the breast meat too, and it tastes great. That's what I've been buying because I'm dieting right now.
Costco, dude, rotisserie
So
chicken in
clutch.
general. Like, and
So
if you have a
clutch.
I'm
family, like,
going to set a reminder to buy that Costco membership now.
Go look at my story. Look at all like I mean, I don't know if you eat all these, but I basically buy everything pre-made at this point because it just saves me so much time. I buy the Bibigo rice cups, I buy the rotisserie chicken meat, I buy the frozen veggies, I buy frozen fruit. I buy the potato the dehydrated potatoes and I rehydrate them with hot water and make hash browns
I've
like
never
in 2
had.
seconds.
I've never had that.
Yeah,
Frozen hash browns,
Never
so
had
clutch.
that.
a game
You never had
changer.
frozen hash? Yeah, because you don't gotta
Dude,
boil the potatoes or you don't gotta like
Dylan,
cut them up, steam them.
are you like pro anti-dairy? Like, will you have the Greek yogurt?
No, yeah, absolutely. I get 2
That's
tubs of the
another one
Greek
for
yogurt,
you.
the 0% Greek yogurt.
So should get the Oikos 000.
They have the 000, so
yogurt.
yeah, too.
dude,
Yeah, because those are fat free and actually have fiber, which is wild. So they have 10
Oh
grams
yeah,
of carbs, 10 grams of carbs,
dude,
15 grams of protein per cup, and like 3 or 4 grams of fiber. It's
dude,
amazing.
legit. If I am like busy and out and about, I will go and I will buy a couple of tubs of that stuff and some fruit, and literally just like eat that through the day.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
You
great like
mentioned
if
when you
you're
were sick. Yeah, you did
running
that.
around. Yeah, when I was sick, that's what I was doing. I was eating 2 tubs of that a day.
Yogurt's the greatest dieting food ever, by the way,
Okay.
because once you eat enough of it, you're like, I don't want to eat today. I'm good.
Yeah, no, you for real like it. You eat it and you're just like it coats your throat and kind of like
Gross.
expands it. You're
Gross.
like,
Yeah.
But
I'm
no,
done
and
eating now.
um, I like the 0% when I'm dieting because I can control the amount of sweetness that I add to it as well. The 000 I'll use like massing and stuff like that. I'll even do the shots, the yogurt shots, sometimes the Chobani ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I heard Milo on his podcast. He said that this sounds really interesting. He will take Splenda or any sweetener and then lemon juice and mix it into his yogurt, his Greek yogurt. And I was like, that sounds really interesting.
Here is what I do. If you want to sweeten your yogurt,
Sure.
Crystal Light packages.
Crystal Light, yeah, that's another one that's great.
You could always just put your protein powder. That's the easy one.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
can't get.
but if you want like lemon flavor, Shimmy,
My favorite
lemon
thing,
flavored protein.
I
if
put
I'm
fruit
ever
punch in
like
there.
if I'm ever in the depths of the diet, it's strawberry flavored yogurt with the powdered peanut butter on top, because then I just get peanut butter and jelly vibes.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's smart.
so good.
I like it.
See,
All right,
Dylan's
enough
like,
Costco
wow.
chat.
Dylan's
Dude,
like,
no,
yeah, that's
Costco.
really good, man. He's real wise, that guy. I never thought of that.
I actually haven't, so thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Okay, so let's just do one more thing that I got asked. Why did I lose it? Oh my god. Give me 1 second, guys. Carry on.
When you timestamp, it's just gonna be like Costco rant and why it's great.
Yeah.
I would do a full podcast about how Costco is great.
I
I'm
just
very
sent
much
myself
here.
a thing to
I'm
buy the
here for that.
membership when I get home.
Bro, I
I'm
got
here
the
for that.
business membership and the credit card. I got my return every year. I'm fully bought in.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor, I have more suggestions. I mean, you also need to buy the ground bison. That goes without saying.
I didn't even know they had bison. Oh my
it's
god.
so delicious.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you need to go buy their ground bison. That's
Probably the best cost you can get for bison too.
100%.
Dude, I love bison. Oh, so in Oklahoma, bison is like a big thing.
Of
Oh,
course
really?
it is. Of course
Yeah, I
it
mean,
is.
in Oklahoma.
Love it.
And so like it's a like there's a restaurant here that they like all they do bison burgers, bison chili.
Ooh.
Oh,
Great.
dude,
I'm here for
dude,
that.
so good. I love bison steaks.
Yeah. So Costco
Bison
doesn't
burger.
have
I've had
bison
bison
steaks,
burgers.
but the ground bison at Costco is mandatory. Mandatory.
I did not even know that they sold that, which because I don't buy it often because the only places aside from I guess Costco is like fucking health food stores.
Yeah.
It is not cheap.
No.
So this is what I would do. I would take the 8812 pack because they have really cheap ground beef, and I would mix the bison in to still get some of that gamey flavor, but not break the bank because like if I just ate all, I mean, you could have just a meal or two of bison, but I would extend it out by mixing in some of the ground beef, and you still get the gamey, the good flavor. That's a hack that I've done. So the question that I had was from Tan. And we talked a little bit about this before the podcast, but maintaining focus on rep quality with higher rep counts. So in higher rep ranges, being able to maintain focus and execute your reps.
I think the 2 minute set king should take this one.
Yeah, so what I do there is I just break every single rep down into its own. And because I move slowly, this works. If you're the kind of
Right.
person that you just have a 2 second eccentric and then come back up, there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally normal. This doesn't work as well. But when you're moving with a lot of control, potentially doing pauses and stuff, if you're treating every single rep as its own, then you can just focus on just one rep after the other, just bang, 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 bang. And you don't necessarily have to worry about I'm doing 15. You're like, all right, one, breathe. Two, breathe. You're not thinking I have 3 left, I have 4 left. You're just thinking I'm gonna just do the best that I can. My technique is no more. I'm done. But I'm
You-
just taking 1 rep at a time, and I'm being very, very mindful. And I think I've talked about this before. I'm being very mindful. What's the guy's name?
Tan.
Tan. So Tan, I'm being very mindful to not have any excitement in my set, to just be very even, not to get too hype, not to, just to kind of focus on my breathing and to sort of just be, because if I get too hype and too excited, I'm going to end the set too early. Because I know it. Like I'm going to get too excited, then my heart's going to beat faster, then I'm going to get out of breath faster, then the set's going to end faster. Not necessarily because my muscles did, just I emotionally got too excited. And that doesn't even have to be in like a crazy psych up. It just, throughout the set. So that's why you'll see me sometimes I just use like really chill music, slow music, R&B music, whatever. Just so I'm just really focused on everything that I'm doing, and I'm just trying to stay very even. Funnily enough, actually, I have a post that I never did like months ago that I was actually thinking about doing tomorrow, where I post a full set of one of my leg presses, like close to failure. The set's 2 minutes long. And just raw, like no fast cuts, no nothing, just so you can see the set and just to see what that looks like from rep 1 to rep 15. Like I really try. Nothing changes. I don't make sounds. My facial expression doesn't really change. And I'm just really trying to just stay rep to rep. So that's the best suggestion I could tell you, Tan. Just try to stay rep to rep.
It's funny that you use the term mindful, because I think that is essentially mindfulness practice, what you described, right? Being present. Be present
Yeah.
try not to,
Yeah.
and lean into the pain, because also I think you could also be trying to escape the pain, and that's when you try to rush the set and get it over with. Lean into the pain when it gets hard, right? Be there,
Yeah.
be present, and lean into it.
Yeah. I purposefully have the thought process of when I'm doing a long set and when it is getting hard and painful, is I have the thought process of I want to find the pain.
Right.
I want to find where it hurts, and that's where I want to go, because I know that my goal is to do this, and I know that it's going to hurt to do that. So I literally will like think to myself like I to find the pain when I'm like, just because I did it the other day, like overhead tricep extension. Like really, as I feel that, like that's the pain. That's what I want. Feel it, sit in it for a second, and really focus on that. And doing that actually helps me through longer sets.
Well, and that's also how you detect, partially how you detect RAR in higher rep ranges. It's one of the indicators, right? The shift in the
Yeah.
pain or burning sensation of the muscle.
Yeah.
It's funny, that's that Arnold quote, right? It's like I don't start counting until it starts hurting, right?
Starts
It's funny
hurting. Yeah.
how there's some truth to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Unlike
definitely.
Shimmy, though, I do make ugly faces.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I was doing wrist curls the other day and I was making some faces, man.
Dude, why
Wrist
do
curls
wrist curls
have,
hurt so damn much?
huh?
Why do wrist curls hurt so damn much?
Dude, wrist curls will have you making faces that you didn't even know you could make.
Right? It's so bad.
Well, what is it? It's like calves or another one that's like that. It's
Yes.
just really painful. Like almost
Yeah.
disproportionately painful for the
It
exercise.
is.
Yeah. Is it?
Dude, I want to cry with
Yeah, I
this.
think it's painful because it's so local. Like it's
Yeah.
painful this one spot. It's like I'm not out of breath. I'm not tired. It's just this one spot.
It just
It's just like this one thing that I need to do
yeah.
to make it hurt, whether it's like this or if a calf, I'm just doing this. And it's like I could stop, but I won't, but I
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
And so
You
I'm
can tell
not. I'm
you can tell
frustrated. So
someone's grit by the size of their calves and forearms.
yeah.
Maybe partially.
Yeah. I've committed now to training forearms in perpetuity.
I I haven't actually trained forearms for a while, but calves is something that I really would like to bring up on my physique.
Oh, well, we talked about that for you.
Yeah, I think it worked really, really well. I ran at the last meso.
Yeah,
We'll
I'm
see
sure
what
it's going to continue to
Trevor
work.
has in store for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I'll get you guys out of here. Trevor, do you have any? Since we're on this real quick, are there any plans as far as things you'd like to try in my training cycle? Things
Oh,
that you
I
just
like
have,
this. I
things
like
that you have
this.
just kind of floating around in your head.
No, not yet, because I haven't been able to sit and fully look through all of your other mesocycles.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I have some ideas from when we've talked before.
Okay.
But I really want to sit down and like go over it all in depth.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a topic for discussion in another podcast.
I'm definitely excited. It'll be fun to
Yes.
put you through some stuff.
Dylan,
Yes, I'm
do we
excited.
want to let the cat out of the bag about our next special guest that we're gonna have on, or no?
Yes, if we can coordinate it, which I think we can.
I
we're gonna.
be good, so.
What was that?
Huh?
I should be good, by the way.
Oh, for that Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so-
we're gonna have the GOAT on next podcast. Dr. Mike Israel is gonna be joining us. So that should be yes.
And guys, we also have a very cool guy, bodybuilder, who doesn't do a lot of press, but we're gonna have him on. We had him on, and there were technical difficulties, so we're gonna have him on again.
Yep.
His name is Dylan White. You can follow him on Instagram. It's, I think, Dylan M. White on Instagram.
Yeah,
He's
go
very
hit him up.
Yeah, he's very
He's a cool dude, super jacked.
Yes, we're gonna have him on as well. They're not going to be on together, they're going to be on separately, but these are the next two people that we're gonna have on the pod.
We're gonna have Dylanception or something more creative than that.
Dylanception, is that what we're calling it?
I don't know. Maybe there's a better term. That's just what I thought of.
Battle of the Dylans.
Battle of the Dylans.
Like the great
No,
battle of the
no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna call it D&D.
Oh,
Double
D&D is the
D.
do not disturb.
Double D.
Like Dylan and
D&D.
Dylan.
Like D&D.
Yes.
I like double D because it's slightly more inappropriate, but
yeah, I like double D too.
I mean, it's the STD podcast. Come on, we got to have an appropriate name.
Podcast.
So
Yeah.
good.
All right. Well, thank you all for
Everybody
listening.
rails.
Yes. Yeah. Let's just cut it here. It's gonna get worse downhill from here. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Click the links below. These guys all offer coaching. I do as well, and you can click our links if you're interested. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in coaching service, click the link below to book a consultation and get started. Thanks for watching.